ShaqFu is a joke so mythical at this point that most of the people referencing it didn't even play it on SNES or Sega Mega Drive. They probably weren't even born then. In which case, congratulations kids, this is a nightmare you almost escaped experiencing. Almost. But Kickstarter felt otherwise. Did I mention that the game's not very good? Because it's not. But A Legend Reborn is also somehow not offensively bad. Like, culturally, there's certainly some questionable jokes, but when it comes to the gameplay, ShaqFu is basically just a really lazily constructed brawler with some very semi-decent graphics. Why bother talking about ShaqFu A Legend Reborn at all if it's so mediocre? Well, because there's a morbid sense of entertainment from playing this game. It's terribly balanced in your favor. The enemies struggle to put up a challenge, and there's even a section where you just pummel everything with virtual impunity. I didn't even get to see the story intro because it just spontaneously skipped ahead. No audio would play for me no matter what I did. Blatant product placements are used as jokes on an almost idiocracy level. This feels less like a game and more like a Shaq O'Neal flavored fever dream that somehow escaped the 90s. So, pretty much a ShaqFu sequel. Nothing feels congruent. Level aesthetics don't match the enemies. You go from fighting basic grunts to magical hydras in less time than it takes to blink. Multiple boss fights occur with no real setup, even for a retro brawler, and range between hampered by the game's awkward physics engine to outright brokenly simple despite clearly somebody on the development team trying. Levels are broken up but also kind of smashed together as some stages are separate or connected with no clear reason as to why. Cutscenes try to emulate Dragon Ball Z's action-packed antics, but instead come across hilariously stilted, like they just ran out of budget too soon and couldn't finish the cutscenes. You don't often get to see a train wreck quite like this these days, at least not until you delved really deep into the App Store, because it's completely playable. Nothing prevents it from moving forward, and it's remarkably been released as a free-to-start title on mobile, so the barrier to entry to experience this madness is as low as possible. It's like a disposable bag of popcorn. It's not really great, but you can easily eat it and it'll amuse you to some extent. If you told me this was just some rushed-out licensed tie-in game to a ShaqFu movie, I'd believe you, but instead, this is the core product they spent roughly 4 years working to release. It's got so much moxie that it seems to genuinely think that it can try and make the ShaqFu series work. Also, ShaqFu is technically a series now, and I don't know quite how to process that. ShaqFu A Legend Reborn is not a good game, and don't delude yourself for a second that any other fate awaited it. It's an amazing, surreal experience that feels like a time capsule of game design and quality assurance straight out of the era that its predecessor came from. If you're nostalgic for that kind of game, or want to know what it was like, then maybe this is worth it for you? I mean, it is free to try, though the $5 price tag for full unlock is a bit harder to swallow, though easier than what they were charging people on consoles at least. As such, if you're just looking for a good game, please check out our other reviews. We have much better options for you. But if you're either a bit of a masochist or just have that weird itch for a really bad licensed tie-in game, ShaqFu's got it, like always.
People crowdfunded this crap? You should have remade Steel.
Steel is next, baby.